This is Gemara Pesachim Daf Tes. Tonight Shibir Shvischos for Shlem V'Chaim Pinchas Ben Malki Yidmeir Ben Akirim and Ben Veichos Chaim Zer Shum Simon Zedel. Sarah Baskin Endi Basim V'Chai Say Chaim Sarasi Yisol Ben Midah Litzved Shavadei Basami Shavig V'Shulchan V'Odav Nitri V'Dani Ben Chana Rezel Liva Rachel Bas Tovia Musa from Siben Moshe Esther Masha Esther Pesach Shachali Yisrael as well as Chos Zivog Hagoin for Atalea Bas Ita. We pick it up on the top of Tes Amud Aleph, a new Mishnah. The second Mishnah in Pesachim says the Mishnah Ein Chayshim. We are not concerned. Shema Gira Chulda, perhaps a Chulda, perhaps a weasel, drag the chametz mibayis labayis from house to house, from makam to makam, and from place to place. Dim Kain, you know why we're not concerned? Dim Kain mechatz lechatzer meir leir in the davar saif. Because then we also would have to be concerned one courtyard to the next, city to city, and in the davar saif there would be absolutely no end to this madness, we'll call it. And therefore, says the Mishnah, we are not concerned that that an animal took the chametz from one place to the next. And Rashi points out that we're talking about is once you did a bedika, then what do we say? You're done. You did yours. You don't have to start being worried. An animal came and brought chametz into your house. Says the Gemara, Taima doy chazina tishakel. Sounds like in the Mishnah that we're not concerned if we did not see anything. However, let's say you see a weasel coming into your house with a piece of challah. Chayshinan, it would sound like from the Mishnah, you're yes concerned. Ubay bedikan, you have to do a new bedikas chametz. Says the Gemara, why are we concerned? Nema achalte, why don't we say yes, the weasel walked in with a piece of bread, but the weasel ate it. The animal ate it. Why are we concerned that the animal left it in your house? Mila Tanant, we're not learning a Mishnah. Madura Akum, if we have the dwelling place of a guy, Tameim it is Tame. Vikama Yisha b'Ma'ar v'yad Ma'ar Sarach Badika. And how long do they have to be in the place and you have to check the house for Tama? We'll say in a moment what's going on over here. Arba'im Yom, 40 days, Va'afal Bisha in Isha. What in the world is going on over here? Says Rashi. Going on over here is Pesach Zaylos we're talking about. That we have dwelling place of Goyim, they're Tami. Why are they Tami? Because Goyim would bury their stillborns inside their house. And Goyim are Tame when they die. So the stillborn is going to be going to be Tame, Tama. And now, that is the reason why we're concerned. We'll get into the next part of Rashi in a moment. And therefore, the Gemara says that since we're concerned that the guy is going to bury his stillborn into the house, therefore, you have to check and make sure that is true. How long? 40 days. We know generally it's 40 days to have a child. The Mishnah speaks out. However, and not however, and even if this guy doesn't have a wife, what's the reason? Because the guy are promiscuous, they're mizaneh. Therefore, even if this guy lives in this house without a wife, we have to assume that maybe he had relations, maybe she gave birth, maybe it was a stillborn, and it might be buried in the house, and therefore you have to be worried that you're going to be tameh when you walk into that house. Now, just to mention very quickly, says Rashi, what tuma are we discussing? Af ba'oyel lirabanan. We're discussing tuma oil because they took their stillborn and they buried it. But if you're in the house, we own the whole house. The tuma permeates throughout the whole house because it's inside the oil. Therefore, you're tummy according to Rabbanan. Rashi continues, says Nami damar kivrei v'chamim einay mitamim b'magu masa moidu. He's a mit if you touch it. That's the end of the Rashi. So Rashi seemingly says that this Brisa, this Mishnah says that the Goyim, you have to be concerned if you go into their house, you're going to become Tameh. Why? Because Goyim are Tameh when they die. They have stillborns, which are dead. They bury them. They're in the house. They give off Tamah. Both according to the opinion of Rabbanan and Shimon Yochai. We're just going to point out a little bit of a difficulty is that according to Shimon Yochai, Rashi says he only holds his Tamah Maga Umasa. If you touch this stillborn, if you touch the guy when it's dead, but if the stillborn's buried, how are you afraid you're going to touch it? Question in Rashi. There's a big machlekes we him over here, and very, very relevant to how far Tomas Akum permeates. This is just one shayla. This is going to be very relevant. If a kohen could go into a hospital, a goyish hospital in Eretz Yisrael here, it's one shayla because of Jews. But let's say a goyish hospital, do you have to be concerned that there might be a dead body there? And if there's going to be Tomas Oyel, it's going to permeate throughout the whole hospital. And this is one of the big maramakims that Rashi over here, how we learn up this machlekes Rishayim, where they argue how you learn up the opinion of Rabbanan versus Shimon Bar Yochai. But back into our Gemara, what in the world does that have to do with us? Says the Gemara, says the end of this Mishnah, if a weasel or a pig, a chazir, could have went into this house of the guy, then you don't have to check it anymore, because we assume the animal went in and ate up the stillborn. Therefore, there's no more Toma. So the Gemara is asking, why in our Mishnah are we concerned that an animal might have brought in chametz? Why don't we say the animal ate it, just like we see over here that the animals eat things? Answers the Gemara. Amar Zera like kasha, habe basar, habe lechem. One is about flesh, one is about bread. Bebasar loy misharya. When these animals eat flesh, they eat these stillborns, they're not going to leave it over. But lechem misharya, we're afraid they can leave over crumbs, and that's why in our Mishnah we have to be concerned. Teretz number 1. Teretz number 2 of Rava, Amar Rava. Hi, my, what's going on over here? Bishlama hasam in the case of Goyim, Amer have, Amer loy have. We're not sure. Meaning, the whole precedent, the whole fact that we're concerned that there might be a stillborn buried is a suffix. We don't know for sure the guy buried something there, so we're not sure if the guy buried something, and even if he buried it, we could say that the animal ate it. But in our case, we see the animal walking with bread. Here are the big words. In our Mishnah, it's a suffix and a vada. We're not sure if the animal ate it, and we know for sure the animal brought in food. And the rule is, says Rava, that a doubt cannot remove from a certainty. Certainty, you know there's chametz. We're not sure if the animal ate it. Therefore, the halach is you have to be concerned that there is chametz. Whereas, in the case of the Goyim, it's all one big suffix. It's a suffix if there's a stillborn, a suffix if the animal ate it. Therefore, we can be lenient. So Rava goes with the rule of ein safek motzi devadai. Again, when you know for sure something happened, you cannot remove from that status with a suffix that perhaps the animal ate it. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Vein safek motzi devadai. Is that true? Vatani went to the brayso. Chaver shemeis. V'niach megura malei apeiros. Sound familiar? A Talmid Chacham is nifter and he leaves over a storehouse of fruit. V'afilu b'nei yoyim. From that day he harvested all these fruits. Harehein b'chesed mitukanim. We assume they are fixed. Why? Because we say that the chaver takes care of it. But over here, devadai tfili. Let's do the math. What's the case over here? For sure the fruit was tevel. For sure the fruit was harvested today. Honey peri. V'safik, and we're not sure. Mu'usarin. V'safik loy mu'usarin. We're not sure. Did these Talmid Chacham take off meiser? Because these safik motzi devadai. Says the Gemara, this breaks the rule. You, Rava, just taught me. A safik, a doubt, cannot remove from a certainty. Ain't safik motzi devadai. What do we see in this case? We see in this case, I'm sorry, we just lost our page, let's go back. What do we see in this case? Here it is. What do we see in this case? We see in this case that a suffix does remove from a vadai. Because we see in this case what happened. We're not sure if this Talmid Chacham took off Trumas and Meiser, and we know for sure that the fruit had to have Trumas and Meiser taken off, and yet we say you're allowed to do that. Answers the Gemara, no. Hasam vadayu vadayu. In the case of Talmid Chacham, it's a certainty that he took it off. You know why? We know for sure he did it. So it's not a case of a suffix. We're not sure. We know for sure. How do we know for sure? Chazaka al chaver. We have a chazaka on a Talmid Chacham. Something which is not metukan, something which is not fixed. Therefore, says the Gemara, this is not a question because it's vadai or vadai. Very important. The Gemara here is calling a chazaka a vadai. Very important. The whole day today, when a big shasik is important just to get the basic understanding at least, and the diukim what's coming out over here. So the Gemara asked the question, how can you say in something motzi de vadai? Here you seemingly do. Answers the Gemara, no, it's vadai u vadai. Why? Because we have a chazaka by the Talmid Chacham. The Gemara continues, teretz number 2, v'yisema safiku. Really, it's not a suffix and a vadai by this case of the fruit in the storehouse. It's a suffix and a suffix. Why? Tilma me'ikara imar d'loi tvili kirav oishia. Maybe, how do you know it was tevel? Well, something tevel means you have to take of trumas and meisters. You have this fruit in the storehouse. How do you know you have to take of trumas and meisters? Why not? Let's see. Damar oishia me'arim ad maltu asa imachnisa b'maichela. You'll have to be cunning. You'll have to do tricks at some level and bring in the produce in its chaff. Why? The animals keep up in a meiser, and you are potter from meiser. This is a din that we've seen extensively in Gemara and Shabbos. We see here in Rashi, the Rashi points out, let's go back in the second line of the wide lines of Rashi. Rashi goes to the previous stage of the Gemara. Why do we think Vadai Tfili, for sure you have to take up Trumas and Meisers? Rashi says, because we know the rules are, number 1, Negru Malachton, we're in the second wide line of Rashi, and number 2, V'raya B'nei Abayis. And the rule is, V'chal Shem Tevel Aleim. Once you have those two entities, the produce is finished, you piled it up, you smooth out the pile. Number 2, you bring it into your house, Chayiv in Trumas and Meisers, and therefore it's called Tevel. Answers the Gemara, it's not a vadai, it's a suffix. Why is it a suffix? Because the halacha is, if you bring it into the house before it is a finished product, in its chaff, then you lost the condition of Ro'u Pnei Abayis, because it's not a completed entity, and then you're not chayiv in Meiser, therefore it's not tevel. So says the Gemara, the reason why we believe the chazaka, the reason why we believe that this Talmud Chacham took off the stuff, is because it's a suffix and a suffix. Says the Gemara, 3 lines from the bottom. Is it true? Vein something must be devadai. There was a story with this shivcha who was very strong. That what did she do? That she put a nefel, she put a stillborn into a pit. And what happened? Kayin, and the Kayin came. They hates its ba, and he looked into the pit. Lay daim zacharu and the Kayin wanted to check what is this stillborn. Is it a zachar and a keva? Difference being, like we spoke about the other day, dinim of tumah and taira. The keva is 14 days you made tumah, 66 days you made taira. A zachar is 7 days, then 33 days. So the kayin came to look. And the story came from the chachamim v'tiaru, and they were mitayer whom? The kayin. What's the issue over here? Look at the tab Rashi. The issue over here is that says Rashi, Koyin al azharas nefesh v'lo nizgar oisei koyin al azharas nefesh lo yitama. The koyin became tamei because he's leaning over the pit. And what happens if you leave over a pit? You now are on top of what's in the pit. What's in the pit? A stillborn. So the koyin became tamei because he is over the stillborn. Rashi points out, how could the koyin have done that? He has a din that he's not going to become tamei. Says Rashi, v'lo nizgar. He didn't remember. Taisus doesn't like this pshat. Taisus learns back in Amud Aleph. Taisus learns talking about a koyin who's a shait that does the thing wrong. But either way, that's the case of the Gemara. Why did he say the koyin is tar? He leaned over the pit. Inside the pit is the stillborn. Says the Gemara, you know why? There were animals that were common inside that pit. And in this case, what's the question? The reason why they said it's tar, because there were animals there. So we assume the animals ate up the stillborn. So now says the Gemara, for sure there was a stillborn in the pit. Garu. And we're not sure if the animal took out the stillborn. And yet we see because he's suffix vadai, and we see that the suffix, that perhaps that maybe the animal took it away, is winning against the vadi that we know there's a stillborn there, and we're saying the koyin is tar. Why? What happened to the rule of Rava? Ein suffix vadai, certainty cannot be destroyed by doubt. Answers the Gemara, don't say the case is that he put a nefil, that she put this nefil in the pit. Ella, you know what the case was? She put something into the pit. And it's 2 doubts. It's 2 doubts, meaning we don't know if it's a stillborn, and if it's a stillborn, then maybe the animal took it. So since it's a double suffix, therefore we say that's why the koyin was tar. Says Mar 1 second, but late them zacharim nekevahi. What did the Mishnah continue? It said that the koyin's going to look, is it a zachar or nekeva? Clearly it's a stillborn. Katani answers the Gemara Achikam, this is what it means. Leida imruach epila. Was it nothing, just the air? It was just a sack. Im nefel epila. Was it a real stillborn? Ve'im tim zaleimar nefel epila leidam zacharu nekevahi. And therefore again the Gemara defends the rule that ein saving mitzvah vadai seems to be the rule, and this case does not break that rule because this case was suffix and suffix, because we don't know necessarily if it was a real nefel that she threw into the pit. Says the Gemara, Viva Isema, Hasam Vadeyu Vadeyu. Second teretz is, in that case, they're both a Vade. What's a Vade? Kivan the Chodo Bordas Mitzuyim Sham. Since these animals are always by that pit, Vaday Garu Abishaita. We know for sure the animal dragged away the stillborn. Why? Nehei Dishayuri Mishayara Migrar Mias Vaday Garu Abishaita. Says the Gemara. Very good that they might have very good, they might not have eaten everything. Meaning, it's true, we don't know for sure that the weasel ate the whole thing. Maybe he left something over. However, migrar, we know for sure the animal dragged it away, stored it somewhere else, and that's the reason why the kohen is not tamei. So the second teretz why the kohen is not tamei is a technical reason, because we say for sure the animal took it away. We said by us it's not for sure. That's talking about eating it. When it eats it, leaves things over. But over here we could say that no, it for sure dragged it away. Says the Gemara, do we say that we're not concerned that maybe Going back into our Mishnah, we said in the Mishnah that if you have chametz, you check your house, it's good. Then we say, don't worry about the animals. Is that true? Vakatani Sefer, the next Mishnah teaches us, after b'dikas chametz, something that we all do. You have some chametz left over for breakfast tomorrow morning. What do? Hide that chametz. Why, says the Mishnah? So you don't check it again. Seemingly the Gemara thinks right now, you know what we must be concerned about? That perhaps an animal is going to come and take it. So says the Gemara, why are you concerned? Our Mishnah says you're not concerned. Amar Abaye loy kasha. That's not a kasha. Har arba asar, ha bishleisha asar. One is on the 14th, one is on the 13th. Bishleisha asar, but on the 13th at night. Tishchiach rifta, there's lots of bread everywhere. Everyone has chametz still. Bekuli bati in all the houses. Loy metzinu. So the animal's not going to come and steal your bread and hide it. Bar asar, but on the 14th, tishchiach rifta, there's not a lot of bread left. But Kulu Bati in all the houses, Matzinus, we're afraid the animal's going to steal it. So says Abaye, we see a technical answer. One different days and different levels of concern. If the animal is going to take it, Amar Rava comes like Rava, and Rava says, "What are you talking about? Is this Cholda? Obviously, play on words. Cholda was actually a Neviah, but is this weasel a Navi? The Yada, the Inar, Be'asar, Veloy Api, Ad L'Orta, that he knows today's the 14th, and they're not going to bake until the evening. Umashayara tomorrow, and he's going to save the bread and hide it. What are you talking about? You made a whole story over here. The animal knows the date. He knows there's more bread in town, less bread in town. What's going on?" Ela Marava, a second teretz. Again, the stira was that in our Mishnah, seemingly we are not concerned for a weasel. In the next Mishnah, it says the chametz you leave over, hide it, because it might get dragged away. How do you answer up that stira? So Rabbi said it's first teretz, it's talking about different days. Comes like Rava, and Rava says, Ela Marava, Masha Meshaya Nechan B'Tzina. Why? Shemetit al Choda B'Fanenu V'Yitzach B'Tikachraf. Rava says, you know why? Because we might see the animal. If you don't see the animal, take it. You're right. We're not concerned like our Mishnah taught it. But says Rava, hide that bread, because then maybe you're going to see the animal and you have to do a new bedika. Tani Kavase, the Rava says Gemara, right at this point, what happens if you want to eat chametz after you do your bedika? Case said, Yasa, what should you do? Put it away in a safe place. Why? Like Rava just taught us, you might take it in front of us. Ramar Yamar, a third teretz, a third answer, explaining the steer in our Mishnah, the next Mishnah. You know why? In the next Mishnah it says, hide it, because we're afraid you might leave over 10, and then you're going to lose one of the pieces of bread, which, by the way, this is one of the mekaymes that we use as a raya. We know many people have a minhag to hide 10 pieces of bread, even though it's not brought down anywhere in Gemara. This is one of the places that we see the number of 10 in conjunction with the bedikas chametz. Says the Gemara, we're moving along within the rules of Safek and Vadai. The Gemara quotes a bunch of cases. Says the Gemara, Tesha Tziburim. There were 9, and just to point out important, Rashi smack in the middle of the Hamad, Rashi says Piskei Halachasin. We're going to bring down some short halachas now in relation to the topic we just spoke about. So Tesha Tziburin Shal Matzah. We have 9 bundles of matzah. Ve'echad Shal Chametz, and one of chametz. V'asa Achbar v'Shakav Lo Yadinan. A mouse comes and takes one of the packages, and we don't know. Matzah Shakal. Do the mouse take the matzah? Chametz Shakal. So what do you do now? Says the Gemara, you know what this is equivalent to? This is equivalent to Anutisha Chanuyais. This is equivalent to 9 stores of Pirish. That one thing was removed from the store, and we know that the rule is once something is removed, we don't go basar the roiv anymore, which we'll explain more in one moment. V'asar Achbar v'Shakal. That if you have 9 stores, Pirish v'asar Achbar v'Shakal, and something is outside the store, and a mouse comes and takes it. Hainu Seifa. That is the Seifa D'Tanan that we learned. I'm sorry, one more time, I read that incorrectly. Again, we're not sure. Hainu Tesha Chanuyas. That is the case of Tesha Chanuyas. Piresh v'asa achbar. If it was separated, if one piece was separated from these piles, and then the mouse came and took it, Hainu Seifa, that's the Seifa. The Tanah we learned in the Mishnah. Tesha Chanuyas kulan meichem basa shchuta. Famous Mishnah. 9 stores that sell good kosher meat. Basa meichers basa nevela. One sells treif meat. V'lakach me'achas me'em, and you take from one of them, and you lakach. You don't remember which one you bought. Sveikai aser. So we say it's a suffix, it's aser. Why is it a suffix? Why don't we say 9 stores sell kosher meat? We should assume that it's kosher. The reason is because called the ruba. I'm sorry, incorrect. One more time. Because whenever it's kavua, it's kamechsa mechsa dame, and therefore it's going to be an issue. So over here, that once something came out of the store for sure, Then we say, like we can look in Rashi for one quick minute. Rashi says, "Hainu tishach hanuyos," that we said in that case, "Kol kavua shenalu mimakim kavua ein olchim bayachar haroiv." We don't go after roiv. Elot k'mechsa mechsa and tzavik iser z'chomra. Again, because you don't go after the roiv, because we know for sure something was removed from one store, so then you don't go after the roiv. However, ubenimsa then olchachar roiv. If something is outside the stores and then you took it, then you go after the roiv. And that's because then we're going to apply the rule of kol de parish, meruba parish. So if you find it benimsa, then we say the rule of kol de parish, as Rashi on the side Rashi says, basra and nimsa bekarki, you find meat and you don't know which one it came from, then you have to roiv. Of course, he's a big sugis, but in a very simple way that when you're not sure, you just have something here, you didn't know where it came from these 10 stores, you have to roiv. But if the case is you had 10 stores, 9 kosher, 1 treif, and you know that something was separated from one of the stores, and then you took that item, then that's called that it was kavua, it was separated, and then it goes by the rules of mechsa, and then it's a suffix iser. We say another case, shnei sipurim, 2 bundles, echsha machbech shel chametz, v'lifneihem shnei batim, echad batik leveich sheina batik. So again, you have 2 piles, matzah chametz, then you have 2 houses, checked and unchecked. V'asu shnei achbarim, 2 mice came. One takes the matzah, one takes the chametz. So you have a problem. You have chametz matzah, checked house, not checked house. 2 mice, one takes from here, one takes from here, and they both run into the house. You know which one they go to. So do you assume that the one that took the matzah went into the checked house, one took the chametz, one into the unchecked house, and everything is good? Or do you assume the opposite? Says the Gemara, Hainu shtei kupais. That's the case of shtei kupais. It's an argument going to the Mishnah. Shtei kupais, 2 boxes, achshal chulin, achshal truma. One of chulin and one of truma. Name and in front of them, shnei sayin, 2 saw of flour, echad shel chulin, echad shel truma, v'naflu elu toich elu, and 1 box falls into the other box. Obviously, very similar to our case. Mutarim, you know why? Because we're allowed to say shani oimer chulin toich chulin naflu, utruma toich truma naflu. So, to in our case, we say when the mouse took the chametz, we assume he went into the unchecked house because that house still needs to be checked. The mouse took the matzah, we assume he went into the checked house. Ask the Gemara 1 second. When do we say that? That's only move along to Yom Alef. We're going to finish with this. Betruma dirabanan. Bechamitz da'araisa mi'amrinan. What's going on? That case was truma. It's a din dirabanan. So fine, on a din dirabanan, we can assume the one that was truma went into truma and the vice versa. But in our case, the diraisa. Answers the Gemara, the teretz wall anticipating other b'dikas chametz diraisa. Dirabanan. I thought you are whole b'dikas dirabanan diraisa. Bebetel ba'alma sagila. Therefore, since it's all din dirabanan, we can rely, just like we saw over there, din Rabbanan, that what? The one that took the chametz went into the unchecked house, one that took the matzah went into the checked house, and we'll pick it up from here tomorrow.